Okay, Zelzi, Investic Champions Cup.
Yes.
Incredible competition. And unfortunately, not one of our South African teams has made it into the last 16, which we will have to address in next season.
Blame the refs.
We are playing in the EPCR Challenge Cup. 3 of the teams are there. The Cheetahs are out. They didn't make it. And the Stormers obviously didn't qualify from the Champions Cup round stages into the Challenge Cup. But just looking, I did a piece on the Keo site on just the contribution of South Africans individually to the Champions Cup winners and the Challenge Cup winners. And outside of the Sharks, obviously, they don't count because they are a South African team. There's a 30-year history, and from the outset, we've had South African-born players that have contributed to those wins and have been immense.
Propped it up, mate. They've propped up the competition. We've had some fantastic players play in Europe in the Cup comps, some of the best ever. And they were really pioneers, weren't they? Because they were the guys that kind of spearheaded that sort of move to European competitions in a way where it wasn't like, oh, well, I'm in the twilight of my career and I'm just going there to kind of experience it. Those guys went over and won European titles. So, I mean, at the time that Bakkies, Botha and Brian retired, they were amongst, and still remain, the most decorated rugby players in the history of the game. So, fabulous.
Well, Donnie Rousseau won everything. I think him and Brad Thorne are the New Zealand lock. I think they're the only 2 players in world rugby that every competition they played in, North and South, they won it. So,
wow.
And Bakkies wasn't far off either. I think the only thing he didn't win was the Varsity Shield. Because he never went there. I love laughing at my own jokes. If someone says, why does Keo always laugh at his own jokes? Because I like it.
Yes.
If I don't laugh, no one else will.
You will.
But we're talking about the early pioneers. Who was the first South African-born player?
I'm never going to get this.
No, you will. To have success. It was in 1998. He was a member of Bath's squad that were victorious in the 97-98 Champions Cup final.
No.
Mike Catt.
Oh, my goodness, mate. Are we counting him?
Yeah, we do count him, eh? Oh, he was kind of grey old boy.
I'm just teasing.
He played his under 20s before he went to
he's South African as they come.
He certainly is, mate. Every time he's been successful, we claim him.
Except
South
when he
African
got run
born.
over by Jonah.
Yeah, then he was an Englishman. I'll laugh it again. Okay. One of my favorites.
Yes.
Englishman Mike Catt was today buried at Newlands. And I was there. It was one of those great moments.
Yeah.
Do you know, to see Jonah Lomu live and to see him live that day in 1995 was just... You can see the YouTube highlights. You can watch it on telly. It just doesn't give you the same kind of oomph as just the way he just
Phenom.
rolled him, and then that momentum took him with a trip. And Keith Quinn, the very, very popular and famous New Zealand commentator, Lamu, as he's talked. It's just it's goosebump stuff. Like Jonah, we always remember him.
Yeah.
You talk about great players. And, Anton Dupont, and no one's changed the game like Jonah Lomu did.
Correct, mate.
He's one, and then the rest start beyond him in terms of fabulous players. But
Put rugby on the map.
Put rugby on the map internationally.
Yeah.
I think you may have put KFC and McDonald's on the map as well.
That was at the end.
Okay, so this is one of my favorites. Gary Pagel, Northampton Saints.
Yeah.
In 2000, now this one no one would get, and this is a great question for if you're going to do Investec Champions Cup trivia, South Africa. Who won 2 titles in 2001 and 2002? He played centre for the Leicester Tigers. His initials are GG, and it's not Gary Gold.
I was going to say Gary Gold. No, mate, who?
Glenn Gelderblom.
What?
Can you remember? He played for Villagers, I think.
I don't remember him.
Yeah, I think he played for Villagers.
Okay.
But we'll have to check it. But Glenn Gelderblom. And then obviously Munster we know in 2006, it's Sean Payne and Trevor Halstead. And then London Wasps, 2004, Stuart Abbott.
Oh.
And then Toulouse, Don Himan. 2003, 2005, Sean Selby, 2005, Gertrude Steenkamp, 2010, Cheslin Colby, 2021, Reinhard Ulstad, 2021. And then Toulon, obviously we know them. Name them.
Brian.
Yes.
Bakkies.
Yes.
Johan Smith.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yes.
How many were there?
There's 7. You got 4 already.
I got 4. So who's the other 3?
You got Brian Abana, you got Donnie. Okay, have you got Michael Claessens?
No.
Have you got Craig Burden?
No, Craigie.
So you got Bakkies,
The
Brian
original
Abana.
Dion Fourie.
Yeah, Donnie Rousseau, John Smith, Joe van Niekerk, Michael Claessens, Craig Burden. 7 of them. Saracens, name them.
Oh, Barrett,
Yeah.
Bradley. Urs Jabir was there. I'm not sure. Was he there at the,
He
at
didn't
the
win
right
it, no.
time? Yeah.
No, so-
Skulk was around.
Yeah, Skulk Brits, 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
And Skulk Brits went on to play more than 200 games for Saracens. Neil de Kock, 2016,
Neil de Kock, that's a
2017.
cracker.
And Neil played 250 games for Saracens, 10 tests. And he played nearly 100 games for
Great
Province
player.
and Stormers. And started his career under Basil Bay, Northern Free State.
No.
Griffins.
How?
And he played in a game that they lost by 100 points. Bishop's rugby doesn't transfer into the first division of the Currie Cup. Vincent Koch, 2017, 2019. And he got the luxury of kicking the ball out in the final whistle. And just made it to the touchline. When Saracens won that, obviously, Skalkberger also at the tail end of his career, 2019. Matt Stevens, who went on to play for England, 2011. Moritz Botha, 2011.
I forgot about him.
And so Saracens, they've won the title 3 times. That's the Investec Champions Cup. And Toulon have won it 3 times, but 3 in a row. That's still history. 3 stars. We know that Leinster are chasing the 5th star. They won it 4 times. And the big league leaders, Toulouse, they've won it 6 times. They are chasing their 7th star.
Crazy.
7th wonder of Northern Hemisphere
Ooh, I like
club
that.
rugby. I
You
like
read
that
the
as well.
headlines, mate.
Now, this was one that surprised me when I went back and did my research.
Yeah.
I actually went through every single team list.
No, you didn't.
I did. From 1996 Challenge Cup finals and
I wonder why I hadn't heard from you for a week.
exactly to see where the South African names. So if I have missed one, guys, please pop me a note and be kind about it. Heinke van der Merwe has won the Champions Cup with Leinster in 2011, 2012, and he won the Challenge Cup with Stade Francais.
No ways.
And this is a guy who's played 5 tests over a period of 10 years. Always seemed in South Africa as he was an underachiever, but very much an achiever in the North.
Wow.
So there's a lot of those South African players that are so celebrated there.
Totally.
Like deemed to be prophets, but not in their own country.
Yeah.
And then Richard Strauss.
Yeah, Richard, sure.
Richard Strauss, he played hooker for Leinster and for Ireland, 2011, 2012, when Leinster won 2 successive Champions Cups. They've won 4 in 30 years, guys. So also that's some perspective when you say, "Oh, we've been in the tournament 3 years and we haven't won it yet." They won 4 in 30 years.
Put in the hard yards.
And it took them from 1996 to 2008-9. What's that? 12 years? 12 seasons to win their first one. Exeter Chiefs, Jacques Vermeulen, Janus Kirsten, Champions Cup winners. La Rochelle, Dylan Lates, Raymond Rule. And then obviously in the South African-born EPCR Challenge Cup winners, half the Montpellier side. Okay? Interesting there, Francis Steyn, Bismarck Duplessis, Yanni Duplessis, Dimitri Katrakelis was one.
Yes.
Jacques Duplessis, Vian Liebenberg, Henry Immelman, Johan Goosen, Paul Willems, who's gone on to play, he was SA20, he's gone on to play for France, great lock that. Nico Janse van Rensburg, lock, also played 1 test for South Africa. Kobus Reinach will be coming back to Cape Town to play for the DHL Stormers, and Andre Pollard will be coming back to play for the Vodacom Bulls. Jan Serfontein, I know they want to get him back. He's been over there for a while. And do you know that Robbie Rogers,
The prop.
he's Heinrich Rogers' son?
Yes.
Yeah, Heinrich Rogers, who played for the Springboks
Yes.
long before most of you were born, okay? And then Cheslin Colby has the double. He's won the Challenge Cup and he's won the Champions Cup. Champions Cup with Toulouse, Challenge Cup with Toulon. Cheslin Colby.
Sure.
And these are the ones that also surprised me. We're nearly done, okay? Mornay Steyn, 2017 with Stade Francais, he came off the bench. So he has a victory there. Quinn Roux won it with Leinster in 2012-13.
Sure.
Leinster have won the Challenge Cup as well, guys. So that shows you it's title, it's silverware worth having. Eugene van Staden won it with Biarritz in 2011, 2012. Jean-Andre Kruger, or Kreer, won it in 2008, 2009. Nick Abendendon.
Yes. Aberdeen, yeah?
He was South African born. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that.
Eh? Bedford View. Boy. He won it with Butch James, Michael Claassen, Peter Dixon, and Matt Stevens. Bath 2007-8. Grant Esterhazy won it with Clermont in 2006, 2007. And we'll wrap it up with Andre Foss and the Harlequins, 2003, 2004. So there is, and then obviously the Sharks won the Challenge Cup.
Sure.
So there is such a rich South African history.
I'm not surprised to hear it. I mean, some of those names I'd forgotten, and some of those I didn't know, but sure.
Yeah, there was one or two I didn't know either.
Yeah.
And I went and looked at like teams like Powell and Biarritz, and I always know there's a South African that pops up there somewhere. Okay?
Yeah.
And Eugene van Staden popped up.
Incredible.
But the Glenn Gelderbloem one, geez, that was a blast from the past. But wow, 30 years, and there's more than 30 South Africans. I think there's on the dot 30 South Africans who have won, who have that gold medal from an Investec Champions Cup final, and then obviously the Challenge Cup final, the EPCR Challenge Cup final. So we have this rich history. In that 30 years, we've played such a big part, especially when you look at the successes of Toulon and Saracens.
Yeah.
More than any other, when it's that big South African contingent. And then in the EPCR, Jake White, history maker, 2016, Montpellier, all those South Africans. And then 5 years later, they won it again. Half of those South Africans were still there. Just a few less Duplessis and a few more Frenchmen. Because you know when they said when Jake was at coaching Montpellier, there were more Duplessis in the match 23 than French players.
I remember, mate. Huh? More English speakers.
Yeah, no. Do
Wow.
you know what the one French hooker said? The only two things, he described his season like this. It was about two things. My rugby regressed and my English improved. I'm laughing again at my own jokes.
Amazing, eh?
Yeah, so...
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like kind of history makers for Jake, but they didn't like his style of play or the fact that he had 7 South Africans in it. I think their home crowd attendance dropped from 16,000 to 10 by the time he left, even though they were champions. I don't think he was given a royal departure. They kind of shoot him out of town there, okay?
Jeez.
So, but he did get success. So wherever he's gone, he's got titles. Not always the most popular way of getting titles, but...
But also the top 14's like that, isn't it? That French rugby culture is very much about French rugby culture. So you can't really come in as an outsider and do that kind of a job and get away with it there, even if you do win. You know, I think you have to sort of ingratiate yourself with the French rugby public by becoming more French.
Well, I think that's what Joe van Niekerk did. He was an icon there. I mean, within a year, he was captaining the side. He was conducting interviews in French. Bakkies Botha is... Bernard Laporte says it's the greatest rugby player he's ever coached. Bakkies Botha went there to basically make a name for himself and not go on a retirement plan.
Yeah.
They got a Springbok at the prime of his career who said, I'm committing to you guys for 4 years and I'm not going to play for South Africa. I'm going to play for you. And chatting to Bakkies about it often, he said he had to earn their respect. He didn't want to be the Bulls enforcer, the Bok enforcer. And at the Stade Mayol, he said, you've got to win over the home crowd. And they've got one of the most fantastic home crowds. The support there is just...
Pre-game song and all that.
The pre-game song, yeah. I don't know if I'm basically in South Auckland or if I'm like in the south of France when I watch it.
Yeah.
But a lot of like kind of New Zealand kind of influence, Maori kind of influence there. But Bakkies said that the Stade Mayol, he had to put his own fingerprints, palm prints, footprints, forehead prints everywhere. And the only way to do that was to make people bleed. So
The butcher.
The butcher. So also known as the enforcer. So whenever he would WhatsApp me, he would always sign it off with blessings, the butcher, the real enforcer. But Bakkie he was iconic when he played there. He got to play with Ali Williams. What a second row combination. And he always said, he went there to scrum behind Carl Heyman and get to know him. I mean, you look at some of those names that were playing in that team. Then you got Lobe, Jean Smith, Donnie Rousseau, the Armitage brothers, Stefan Armitage and Devin Armitage.
Yeah.
That Nonu.
Star-studded team.
Gitau, Drew Mitchell, Habana.
Did you see Nonu played on the weekend?
Yeah, 42 back playing. Just incredible, man. And Freddie Michalak played there. It's just... Then you get Craig Burden. I was there as well, and Michael Claassen. So, no, that Toulon side was something special. And obviously, Saracens something special as well. Saracens, as they used to call them.
The thing that was so terrifying about Bakkies, I mean, it's one thing having a madman out there trying to take your head off your shoulders, but Bakkies did it in a way where he was convinced that it was the moral thing to do. Like, there was a morality to him enforcing his will. And I think that must have been the scariest thing to face at a breakdown.
Imagine a Friday night game down there.
Oof.
A Friday night knockout game.
Oof.
One of the
Late kickoff.
Yeah, jeez, crowd going ballistic. Bakkies and he opened his own butchery there as well. So I think that helped to the butchery, that kind of thing. Showed those oaks how to make proper boerewors and proper South African boerewors and rooibos and biltong.
But Ricky Januarie also ingratiated himself into French culture when he went over there, played for Lyon, I think, Agen and La Rochelle. And, you know, sometimes you get these South African players that go over to France and they don't really like dive into the culture. But Ricky Januarie ate every bakery out of all their stock.
I heard he invested in several McDonald's. He's been very successful. I'm going to put a little bit of trivia question to you about Ricky Januarie.
Do it.
How many professional games did he play?
Professional games?
Yeah.
Well, he played more than 100 for Agen. I think he played 50 plus for La Rochelle and around about 50 for... Who was the last one that he played? Was it Lyon?
No, he's playing for Agen.
Agen was the one that he
They
played
still
under.
list him as playing. I'm laughing at my own jokes again.
But I think he played 100 for... Was it Agen?
Okay, we'll get to the thing. We haven't got all that,
let's say 300.
453.
Gee whiz. Amazing,
453
Wow.
games. He left South Africa in 2010.
Wow.
Just before the World Cup, having played 47 tests in the era of Farida Pre. Now, I mean, he will forever be known for that incredible break against the All Blacks where he went left, Kevin Mialama went right, and he went straight down the middle. The chip, the gather, the score! First time ever victory for the Springboks against the All Blacks in the old Carisbrook in Dunedin. Ricky Januarie.
What a
Franz
fabulous
Stein
player.
banded over 30-28. Montier kicked
Yeah.
a few penalties early in that game. A fantastic victory for the Springboks. Off he went to France. He's been there 15 years. He's now a full French oak, okay? Played 453 first-class games. He is one of those legends of South African rugby that should never be forgotten for what he
He's so
did.
underrated. He was
Yeah.
such a fabulous player.
He could
Physical
play,
indeed. Chizaka could play.
He reminded me a bit of Kakanebuka, Rupini. Doesn't matter how much weight they picked up.
Yeah.
They just got better and better with age,
yeah.
okay?
That is so
Playing
true.
over there. I mean, guys do extend their careers. Joe Rokothoko went over, everyone said he was finished. He played another 12 years. Ended up playing in the midfield and winning lots of silverware over there. So Ricky Januarie, another South African, really made it in South Africa, but went there and further entrenched why South Africans are such good signings in Europe.
Yeah.
So that's enough of your history for the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup. It is the biggest tournament up north. And when we spoke to the chair, Dominic McKay, and we spoke to the CEO, Mr. Reynaud, Jacques Reynaud,
Yeah.
Swiss neutral.
Yeah.
It's also, we've got to win this competition or be very competitive in it for South African rugby public to understand and appreciate how big it is to chase the star. That's the Champions Cup.
Yeah.
But then also how it's applauded to win the EPCR Challenge Cup, which the Sharks did. I think they were celebrated more up north for that victory and the way they did it. And the way they hammered Gloucester in the final at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on that Friday night, massive crowd as well.
Yeah.
Then down here, we still don't quite have an appreciation for what it means. But go ask those South Africans who have won it. Go ask the Bakkies, Botha, the Joe van Niekerks, the Skalk Brits, and Neil de Cox of the world. Go ask them what it means. Massive, massive.
Yeah, I think we'll warm up to it. I think it's one of those things. You talk about winning the comp, obviously, but I think just winning some games, because between the Sharks, Bulls, and Lions, I think they won 4 Euro Cup games this season out of 16. So I think, South Africans tune into winners. And I think when we start to find our feet in these comps and push a couple of guys around, I think the numbers will go up, the interest will go up. We are learning about a lot of these clubs that we seldom see. We've just kind of digested who the guys in the URC are. Now there's top 14 guys to take in as well. So I think it will come with time.
If you look at this weekend's fixtures, and again we saw how much interest there is and how much devotion there is to the Investec Champions Cup. Leinster not picking any of their top-line players for the 2 matches in South Africa, even though it was against South Africa's 2 best-performing sides in the URC, the Bulls and the Sharks. They arrested all the guys who played in the Six Nations. They played their 2 big overseas signings. That's Archie Snyman, who's been there more than he's basically been in South Africa in his professional career. And then obviously Geordie Barrett, who's had a massive impact, the All Black centre, fullback, win, fly, wherever you want to play him. And they rested them for the Durban game against the Sharks, and they got that win 10-7. they want that fifth star. They're obsessed with that fifth star, and it's going to be them or Toulouse. You've got to think it's one of those two teams that wins it, unless typically one of those French clubs comes through.
I think Bordeaux and Toulouse are going to do some things.
And
those are two
and the
strong
interesting
teams.
thing about Bordeaux, and they've got a fabulous side. They put 60 points past the Sharks a couple of 2 months ago, which shocked me that the Sharks would have get rolled like that. But Bordeaux played Toulouse in the top 14 final in Marseille last year. Toulouse had just come off the titanic win against Leinster, and I think they shipped nearly 60 in the final, Bordeaux. So Toulouse, double winners last year,
Power.
strongest club side in world rugby, with second to none, with Antoine Dupont or without him. They are a fabulous side. And again, 20 points to 8 in that humidity in Durban. That's kind of like a victory for the Sharks against them in terms of what they can do as a club side. And it's the first time that they didn't get a bonus point there. So they don't go. I think they ended 5th in terms of the seeding. So once they go past the last 16, when they get to that last they may not get a home draw, which is what they tend to do before they go into the big finals, which is a neutral ground.
Yes.
And the neutral ground is going to be Cardiff this year. Fabulous. 23rd, 24th of May. It's going to be a ripper. Friday night, Saturday night in Cardiff. EPCR Challenge Cup final, Champions Cup final. And when we chatted to the bosses and the men that be from the EPCR, they said destination finals. 22 people have 22 cities have put in for the next one. A bid for it. And they are very much about, Cape Town is one of the great destination cities for travel in the world. And they would love it to be in Cape Town, but not too soon. So I'm thinking probably they're looking closer to 2030 than they are to 2028. But Cape Town, if it does get global expansion, it will be Cape Town. Lots to be done by the mayor, lots to be done by the premier, lots to be done by us.
We just need to move that final closer to December.
To sell Cape Town as a destination.
Yeah, totally.
It would be magnificent to see the DHL Stadium, 56,300 packed, to watch the Stormers play Toulon, or the Stormers play Toulouse. Or do you know what, even better? The Stormers play the Bulls in the Champions Cup final. Yeah. So for now, though, it's not happening. The Stormers aren't in either competition. They've got a fortnight off to regroup before we get to URC last month. 4 league games at home for them, and then hopefully into the playoffs, and then playing for positions to go into next year's Champions Cup draw. Or alternatively the Challenge Cup draw. Looking at the South African teams, the Lions, your favourites.
Oh!
Talk me through it.
Oh, mate, they're playing Edinburgh on Friday night. Edinburgh have had an up and down season, play some clever rugby, but just haven't put it together this year. When these teams met earlier in the season, the Lions gave them quite a big shellacking. I think it was round 2 or 3. Round 3. So I think the Lions can beat Edinburgh, but I'm so nervous to tip the Lions to beat anybody, mate. So I would love to see them beat Edinburgh in the Challenge Cup playoffs to advance to the quarterfinals. But I'm gonna take the heat off them. I'm gonna say Edinburgh win this game by 5 points.
Listen here, you say you'd love to see the Lions beat them and advance. I don't know if the Lions would love to beat them and advance.
Yeah, true that.
It means another week up north.
They got other fish to fry. Exactly.
They'll have it again.
They've been there for 3. Yes,
I'm seeing the Lions go down. Hulle gaan nog 'n pak slaag kry, Zellum. Hulle gaan verloor. 35-15. 20 punte. 20 points.
I think I do know is the Lions will score more points this week than they did last week. I think they will lose. I'm giving it to Edinburgh by 5, so I'm going to say 29-24.
All right. Let's go on to the big guns. The Bulls, Jake White's Bulls, and John Plumtree's Sharkies.
Yeah, now these guys I'm going to tip to win. The Bulls are going to destroy Bayonne, I think. The Bayonne are 4th in the top 14, but in 20 matches, their record is 12 wins and 8 losses. And overall, they've got a points difference of -6. So not the most convincing record. And I think the Bulls can beat them. I think the Bulls can go over there. Jake's pretty comfortable, I think, in France. Knows the territory, knows the lay of the land. I don't think he's going to get caught by any sort of travel logistics or anything like that. I think the Bulls will be well prepped. And they've got a little bit of momentum behind them after a nice big win. And I think they beat Bayonne by 6 points.
Don't you think with their owners being Mr. Rupert, Mr. Mutsepi, don't you think they should just get on a private jet? I'm sure they did. A chartered plane. There in 10 hours, not 28 hours with a stopover. I think they left on Sunday, and I think they will arrive on Friday. laugh at your own jokes
They've
again.
got altitude sickness. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've got them to win as well.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, so we're on the same page.
We're on the same page.
Hopefully
Jake
you're
White's
both
Bulls,
right.
they're going for the double, the EPCR title and the URC. They needed that big momentum builder to really smash a team like Zebra, who are talented. And I've got them to win 31-20.
Nice. I've got lower scoring, so I'm going to say 23-17.
But I got the Bulls to win a tapper. You're tapping your foot there again. Oaks, hear that, eh?
Well, nothing's tapping.
Oaks, hear that, mate. Oaks, hear that, they complain.
Where's the toilet?
Hey, what's that tapping noise? Is it the mics? No, it's Zels. He's getting a bit nervous. He needs to get out of here. Hey, he's got things to do, places to go, people to see. But congratulations again on Mighty Mac.
Yeah, thank you.
She's, for those who don't know, Mackenzie, Zels' daughter, is 10 years old, and she is in one of the top dance groups. She's actually in the dance group that is the best in South Africa. And they are off to some international event. Where's it in?
Dubai.
In Dubai, and I think next year it's in Spain or something like that. So, but Zels, Saturday morning, he was there the whole morning, sending me videos, just loving it. He did say he went home with a pounding headache.
When you get into your 40s, mate, sitting next to the speakers is not a good idea.
But well, congrats to her.
Yeah, thank
Big
you.
shout out to Mighty Mac, wonderfully talented dancer, swimmer, and softballer. So, yeah, proud dad. And I see why he's tapping. He's just you get to get home and do more training. But the Sharks...
Dance!
Yeah, dance for me now. Dad, dance. The best train every day.
That's gold.
When did you become a softball coach? When my daughter made the team. So like my nephew, every team his son played for in New Zealand, he coached. And the kid did well.
Any good, right?
No, he did well. He played for Auckland in the hockey. He made the New Zealand side in terms of judo.
Sure.
And then Anthony even made the Kiwi Legend side in rugby league. He played against Australia.
You told me about this, yes.
Fantastic, eh?
Wow.
Kind of hoodwink his way in. But he said he just got out of training. He just knew how to smash a few big guys. And boom, he was in
Picked
there.
the big one first.
So
Brilliant.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Like he said his ankle was done before that game, but he got there and he played. But yeah, very, very, very proud of you. And if you want to know what we're talking about Father and Daughter Day, and the Sharks going to France in the Champions Cup and actually taking it.
You're going to say they're going to beat Lyon on a Sunday in France at Matmut Stadium.
They're not going to beat them. They're going to embarrass them.
Wow. Okay. That is a huge call. Where does this confidence come from? How tight is that jersey, mate? What's going on there?
That comments come from what I saw on Saturday night in Durban against Leinster's Academy side.
Yeah.
And it can't get worse. I saw them get their two shockers out the way this weekend. I think they'll be better on the road. The conditions will be better. It will suit them. The baguettes will taste nicer. The lattes will be better. And the view will just be nicer. I've got them to win comfortably. I've got them to win by 34 points to 19.
Okay, I do think it's going to be a higher scoring game. I don't think they're going to beat Lyon at Matmut Stadium, which, if memory serves correctly, is where France Stain could never get a win. I think Arno Botha is their number 8. He has the last laugh in this game. Lyon beat the Sharks 33-24.
When I saw Arno Botha was their number 8, I gave the Sharks another 7 points, okay? No, Arno Botha just incredibly talented, came on the scene, basically got injured when Sia Khaleesi made his test debut. Sia came on for him. Just one of those guys that suffered from injuries, has never quite come back at the same level, came back to the Bulls and went back overseas. Glad that he's got a gig. But that Champions Cup, that Challenge Cup gig for him ends this Sunday.
Jeez.
When the Sharks bury Lyon.
Okay.
So I got the Sharkies to win, I got the Bulls to win, and I got the Lions to be put out of their misery and sent back to Johannesburg to prepare for the last month of league action in the URC. And I got the Stormers to enjoy a comfortable fortnight, the foot of the mountain in Cape Town, to decompress, to take it all in, and to say next season we'll be there, not top 16, top 8.